I think we're good, Nancy.
Okay. Okay, let's see. There's not that many of us on. I don't think we don't have enough people yet.
I just talked to Dave and he called me 5 minutes ago.
Oh, well,
So he knows it. No, we said see in a minute.
okay, well, hopefully he'll be here in a minute.
Charles would be able to make it. He
Right,
said.
Chuck's
Chuck,
excused.
I'm sorry. Chuck, I'm sorry. And Kenny as well.
Yeah, he's doing something with his son for school. Kevin, you got a haircut. It looks nice.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, well, we need two more commissioners.
Well, we can also start informally and have it not be part of there's Dave.
Well, I got an agenda item that I need a quorum for, but
If we have an excused absence, is that person excused from is that number excused from the quorum?
Good question.
well, actually,
But-
the way I just looked at the bylaws and they're not correct, and that's something that we have to deal with because
They have a lot of problems.
Well,
Yeah.
the part on the voting is actually not accurate. So one thing I'm going to suggest tonight is we're going to review the bylaws and make some adjustments, but it says 51%.
What's wrong with that?
51% of the 11, which we don't have, members. So
No, it's got to be 51% of the 10 that we have. It's not our fault.
9
or of the 9, yeah.
or 8 actually without
Wait a
I'm
minute,
not
we
sure.
lost Alexander. Who else have we lost?
That's it. So I
So that
think,
would make it 10.
well, Dave, Barbara, Bill, me.
Present.
I think Charles said he's out of town.
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got that.
no, we got through all that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Mr. Cole. Okay, so now we have enough. We have
Okay, good.
5. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start the meeting. Hopefully Nyla will come. The only excused absences, well, Kenny, of course, and Chuck called in, so to say he couldn't make it.
Yeah,
So
he
we'll-
emailed.
He's
So
out of town.
Okay, so I had sent Kevin a revised agenda. I added an item after the committee reports. So does that ring a bell, Kevin? I don't know if you sent that out or not.
Mm-mm.
You're muted.
Nancy, the one on the screen, is this the correct order of the agenda? I believe you have you gave me a revised
Yes,
one, right?
yeah, that's it. Yep, okay. Okay, so we're gonna start with, I think we have a lot of stuff to talk about with the especially Greenhouse Gas Committee. So Dave, do you want to take it away?
Sure, be happy to. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about kind of 5 topic areas tonight, and then I have some questions. And some of the questions I want to ask Kevin maybe probably be covered at least to some degree in his presentation. And I did read through something you sent us the last day or so, which I guess outlines what your report is about. So yeah, okay, I'm going to start with one of the things that we've started doing on the Greenhouse Gas Committees. We've got a list of 27 municipalities in the county, and Louisa and I are going to split them and contact each of the municipalities. And what we're going to do a survey, which we are still working on, but we're pretty close to having the survey we're going to send out. And what we'd like to do is either talk on the phone or maybe get an email out to the folks in each of the 27 jurisdictions. And what we're looking at is to understand better how they're doing their recycling collection in each of those towns or cities. And that actually came up as a result of a conversation Nancy and I had with Louisa. Louisa is with the Public Works Department in Greenbelt. And she said one of the things that they haven't done is they have a pretty sizable percentage of people in there that are in a large community or a large, I don't know what you want to call it. It's a
Apartment complex
yeah,
community,
apartment complex
multifamily.
with about 3,000, I think, households. And, or maybe it might be 3,000. I don't know.
It's 2,800.
Yeah. So anyway, what we decided to do is we thought that would really be good if we surveyed all these jurisdictions and determined exactly how they're working on their recycling program. Who's doing the collection? Is it the community? Do they have private contractors? We have a series of questions we want to ask to try to better understand how the recycling collection is going or not going. And the 27 jurisdictions they really range in size from Bowie, which I think has over 50,000, down to the tiniest, which is Eagle Harbor, I think. Might be Eagle Harbor or Eagle Point. They only have about 500 residents. So we're going to probably get a wide range of answers there because some places will probably have full departments, full public works departments. Eagle Harbor and some of these other very tiny communities probably just pretty much have it. They probably get it through contractors. The contractors doing it. So we want to get a better understanding exactly how recycling programs are going.
Would you mind if I jumped in here for a second?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay, thanks. So to put a little bit of a finer point, I think on what we're doing is we're going to be looking at, in particular, the multifamily issue with recycling. There was some confusion about the enforcement of the multifamily issue between the municipalities and the county. The county, and Kevin, make sure I get this right. The county, everyone in the county, owners of multifamily units are subject to a law that says that they have to provide an opportunity for their residents to recycle. And they're supposed to do that. However, the county only enforces or has the option to enforce it in the unincorporated areas of the county. The 27 municipalities, it's up to them what they're going to do with the multifamily units in their jurisdictions. Is that right, Kevin? Okay. So I guess, okay, thank you. So one question actually that I had, and Dave, I'll turn this back over to you in a second. I just don't want to forget, is about if the municipalities don't do anything, that's an option. They can just do nothing. Is that correct? Kevin?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But the county, I think, assumes that each municipality has its own regulations, and also the unincorporated municipalities they submit report to the state.
Right.
And then the county relies on the report submitted to the state from these municipalities. So they get the county gets the report from the state for these unincorporated municipalities.
Okay, so then let me clarify. So the owner, for example, an owner of a multifamily unit in Hyattsville is responsible for providing a report to Hyattsville or to the state?
To the state. Based on my discussion with the recycling section, they
Okay,
submit the report directly to the state.
okay.
So the municipalities in no way communicate with the county.
Right.
for the unincorporated municipalities. Yes, because we cannot force them to.
For the unincorporated, what's an unincorporated
I mean,
municipality?
those that are not part of the county. I mean,
He means
they have
just the municipalities.
just the municipality.
Okay.
Yes.
So
The
Kevin, so
27.
the owners are responsible for sending a report to the state.
Is it the municipalities or the apartment owners?
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Sorry. So the owners submit the report. I'm sorry. The owners are responsible for submitting reports to the municipality, and then the municipality submits the
Okay.
reports to the state. Sorry.
Okay,
I
okay,
said
that
correctly.
helps. Okay, so the owners are responsible for submitting reports to the municipalities. Municipalities submit them to the state. However, it became clear from conversation, I had a conversation with Louisa that Greenbelt, for example, didn't seem to know who was responsible. Now, the municipalities may or may not have stricter legislation than what is required by the county or state, or they may not. So it's very clear that there is this gray area, and we were concerned that the municipalities may not understand that it's their responsibility to make sure that the multifamily units provide opportunities for recycling for residents. So presumably in places where that's not happening, then all the recyclables are going into the landfill. And that's a concern of ours. It's our landfill.
Well, I think, let me
Hold
interrupt.
on, Barbara. Just give me a second. So that was the sort of framing of sort of what started this. So, okay, so go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, let me just interrupt that my understanding is the only requirement is that the apartment owner who has 1,500 units has to provide one recycle bin somewhere in the back of one of the buildings,
Yeah.
and they meet the regs.
Okay, I don't know. I'd like to see that.
I'll ask, yeah, we're in the middle of the meeting. I'll ask Kevin to do that before I send it to you. Okay. Yeah.
So
Well-
Barbara, where do you that's really important.
That came up at a previous meeting here.
Okay.
It was, because I had asked how much recycling has to be made available at the apartments and condos.
So Kevin,
And the answer is it has to be made available at least one place, to be determined by the owner of the place.
Does that sound accurate to you, Kevin?
I have to check, Nancy. I have to check.
That seems pretty minimal, especially for
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand that it's for a very small complex, but for example, the one that Dave brought up has 2,800 units. So if you had two or one, which I think they do have one or two, so maybe they do meet the requirements, but that's clearly a
That's not
problem.
that's going to be filled up. And if, depending on how frequently they empty it, that's another thing. They have a container, but they're under no obligation to get it emptied. So the stuff just piles up on the ground beneath it, you know?
Well, and if it's basically two or one container for the entire complex, it's not convenient for people. They're not going to do it.
And it's not ethical, and it doesn't make any sense, you know, to that's essentially sabotaging them, because it's like using a mini trash can when you know when all the residents live in an apartment building, let's say a luxury style one. It's not going to work, and it's not effective, it's not efficient, and it doesn't make sense. So
Right. Okay. So let's check on, that's a really important point. Let's check on that about what in the context that were required. So I don't know, Barbara, do you have a copy of that legislation? Or you just remember?
We discussed it at a past meeting. I might be able to pull it out. I bet
Okay.
Kevin can pull it out much, much easier than I.
So Kevin, is that something you could track down?
Yes.
What that requirement is? So I'm going to make a
Sure.
So the regulation for multifamily, what does that look like?
Kevin
Okay.
and Nancy, can I butt in?
Okay, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No problem. I just got a call from Louisa. She wants to have someone send her the link so she can get into the meeting too.
Oh,
Okay, hold on. I'll send her the link.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, Dave, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I talked with Louisa a little while this afternoon, and I think what we're going to do is try to come up with a semifinal survey, and then we're going to, I think we'll send it around to the various commission members and get any input they would like to give on that. And then we'll start doing the surveying. And right now it's around 10 questions, which we'll be posing, but some people may have some better ideas. And what we'll do is then get that out, and hopefully we'll have a report by next meeting. That would be, I guess, the September meeting, commission meeting. So that's topic one. I'll go into topic two now.
Dave, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
We might want to, before finalizing those questions, or even before you guys drafting those questions, find out what the regs are. If the regs are only what we were told at some earlier SWAC meeting, to my memory, that these units have to provide recycling, that they do not have to provide more than one can, or have to provide a recycling can or something like that, that it doesn't have to be more than one can, that it doesn't have to be emptied, no regs on that. If that's really true, it seems like the questions to the municipalities are very different than if there is actually some serious regulation.
Mhm.
Well, the first question though, Barbara, is the fact that it doesn't appear that some of the municipalities even understand what they're responsible for. I mean,
Right, but it would be nice to send out just one questionnaire to them and not, have to update it, I would think.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I have an update, and I don't know if I should talk about this in my
yeah, can
committee
you wait?
reports. Maybe I can.
Yeah, no, just hold
Sure.
on. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Mm.
I'm actually seeing if I can find it. So Dave, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. We're also, and I think this was mentioned in Kevin's report, but we're starting to develop plans to do messaging for the composting program. And Barbara is kind of taking the lead on that. And I'm going to let Barbara talk a little bit about what she's coming up with. Barbara?
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. So just a background to remind everyone that many county residents are not participating in the county's composting efforts. It's the perception of many of us that far too many residents have no clue why they should compost. And we feel that this is at least in part because all of the county's initial education efforts, that is their first, I think it was 4 mailings or something at the start of the composting, focused entirely on the how and nothing about the why. So nothing that it's cheaper to compost, nothing about greenhouse gases and methane and global warming or anything like that. And if it wasn't cheaper to compost and there wasn't this big environmental reason to compost, there'd be no reason to do it. Well, maybe it decreases the smell of the trash a little bit. But so this has kind of been disappointing. And yet DOE just last week sent out this mailing telling you to not drink sugary drinks, which, yeah, it's true. Is this DOE's purview? Is this what DOE should be sending out? I don't know. To my mind, that was not a good use of a mailing effort. At any rate, Kenny Battle had earlier conveyed and repeated at the last SWAC meeting that the county council had dictated that the SWAC should be involved in DOE's future messaging on solid wastes. And in fact, Kenny had suggested that the SWAC should become the DOE's messaging, quote, office, or whatever you want to call it. And he thought that the DOE was actually deferring the writing of the messages to the county executive's office, who clearly doesn't know about methane and anaerobic digestion and stuff like that. So that makes great sense. So the question would then be how to proceed. So the SWAC would like to follow this directive to get more involved with the messaging on composting and hopefully also on the reuse, repurpose, and possibly on recycling. And so to move forward, the SWAC is requesting that we receive whatever plans the DOE has assembled on the messaging to residents about composting. Should the DOE not have any detailed formal plan on this messaging, the SWAC is requesting to receive a compilation of the county's composting messages that have been sent out last year by mailers, radio, TV, email, to which lists, and the various social media. That is, that would get a copy of what was sent out and be told who it was sent out to and when. The DOE, the SWAC has long, sorry? The SWAC has long suggested that DOE needs to convey and stress the importance of participating in composting. Not only the substantially reduced cost and the problem with clogging the landfill with all that stuff, but also the critical environmental role, which we talked about already. And so we're asking how the messaging on the waste disposal, especially composting, has been composed. That is it done by DOE or is it done by the county executive's office? And how do we get involved with this? Also, Kenny Battle has said that the county council requested that DOE provide to the county council messages for the county council to send out to their constituents on composting and things like that. And so we're asking if such messages were sent out to the county council and what they were and to who and when, etc. So basically, in the big picture, we want to know how does the DOE envision that the SWAC and maybe especially the Greenhouse Gas Committee can work together with them or with the county executive's messaging center on improving the messaging, that it actually has an environmental component and logic to it. And there were a couple of other questions that were raised that we also want to ask, is what information has been given, either given and especially now with their new contracts, to the hauler contractors about their responsibility in alerting residents when composting or recycling is put out, for instance, packed in plastic bags. Second thing we're asking is whether the DOE or the county executive's messaging center has done any research on messaging that other jurisdictions use to get their residents to buy into their composting programs. And the third thing is if DOE has done any or plans to do any surveying to determine if their messaging has been successful in getting the general public to understand the importance of participating in composting.
Thanks, Barbara. So
happy to send that out in a text version, like to Kevin, especially to Kevin.
An email. Well, I think we had discussed that you were going to prepare that in a document as a
right, and I emailed it to you real recently.
Okay, so that, but that needs to be prepared in a document to go to whoever Kevin recommends it gets sent to collect. So the idea is to collect data on what the county is doing before the SWAC makes any recommendations for the SWAC to understand what the county has actually done, and can review the messaging portion and the strategy to provide some hopefully productive input. So Kevin, who does it make sense for that request to go to?
I suggest the letter be sent to Marlon.
Okay,
And then we'll discuss the matter once it reaches Marlin.
okay. So Barbara, I'll take a look at that, and also Dave, and I don't know, anybody else in the committee, I guess, who wants to look at it. And then you can go ahead and you can send it to Marilyn, although she's on vacation, I think, right now.
I think Niall
So
has a
shall I send it
question.
out?
Yes.
Shall I send it out to everybody of the SWAC who is here on this meeting?
If people want it, you could send it out to the committee members. That probably makes, and Nyla might want a copy.
I think Niall has a question.
She does. I was finished what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and then Nyla, go ahead.
Okay. Let me
Yeah,
speak
go-
now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Yes, anytime. Well, I had a few. Well, I was thinking we could all work in tandem, all of our groups. So, or maybe have like maybe a bigger virtual meeting,
You're
All right.
breaking up.
hybrid meeting, other
Can't
applicable
understand a word you're
groups
saying.
that we're all.
Are other people having trouble understanding
And
Nyla?
I can't
Nyla,
understand a word you
there's
say.
something wrong with the sound. We couldn't hear. I couldn't hear any of that.
The sound.
Sounds
Okay,
like you were
all right, let
underwater.
me- Okay, hold on. Let me close some of these browser tabs here. Let's see. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Let me close some of these. I'm gonna close a few of these tabs.
That
Maybe it'll
sounded
help with
better.
the signal.
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay. Let me close another one. Okay. Yeah. I was just stating that with the amount of commission, SWAC, Solid Waste Advisory Commission, with the Department of Environment for Prince George County, and the governor's office, which rules everything. She may not know everything about the environment, but that's okay because she has us. I think it would be in our best interest and in everyone's best interest, even the other groups, to have us either do a hybrid meeting because we get to meet the other folks instead of just when it comes to communication, it's very much important to have it be transparent because I'm almost done.
Your mic,
still
your mic is.
Yes.
We can't hear thing you. We can't understand thing you say. Your mic is not clear. It's breaking in the middle, so the communication is clear.
Okay, my mic is on, but
Try
Yeah,
turning off your camera.
it's important.
Yeah, try turning off your
Parents-
camera, Nyla.
My camera's fine.
No, it takes up bandwidth. If you turn off,
Yes.
If
right.
you turn it off, it might help the sound.
Okay.
If you can do that,
Sure. Okay.
so we can actually hear you better. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right.
better.
Cool. I'm gonna have to go.
Okay.
Right,
So
perfect. I'm gonna have to go lights out for a minute.
So
I was.
So go ahead.
I was saying that all of our groups need to be transparent because we're on the merry-go-round of dysfunction in communication. We're doing paperwork and emails back and forth, and we need results. And I think it'd be best, especially since the coronavirus has been done with, that we either have a hybrid meeting or in person. Because I want to see y'all. I want to see you, fellow humans. Because video is a lot, and I think that the three groups, of course, need to meet, be transparent in the fact that, okay, we don't have enough containers at some of these sites. There's not enough messaging on the receptacles themselves, and the public doesn't understand. They're not environmentalists and professionals like us. They don't. Majority of the county.
Which three groups, Nyla? I don't understand.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the groups that are apparent here. The ones we've been talking about for months: Department of the Environment, Prince George County, ourselves, SWAC, and another group. I think the governor's office. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Governor.
But we need to do something because we're going to have the same issues revolving around why the public doesn't get it. Okay? And the public needs to get it because I'm tired of trash just piling up and the highways looking a mess. And it's just
Highways are different issue.
it's an easy problem. It can be broken down baby steps, but we all have to be on the same page and communicate. And right now is a breakdown of communication. Literally, I posted on my Facebook and my LinkedIn the fact that I picked up about 10 pounds of trash for my local park at the Westphalia Community Center.
That's
Guess what I took
great.
a picture of?
Okay.
I took a picture of the so-called recycling container. It didn't have not one bit of recycling symbols on it. I didn't know if it was a trash can or not. It was blue, which you would think is eco-friendly, but no messaging on there. It was one. That's a new park. It's 7 years old. That's the type
Okay.
of messaging we're talking about.
Okay, so Nyla, thank you. I really appreciate your input. Let's and we'll talk a little bit more about the other media stuff in just a little bit. Meanwhile, Barbara, let's get back. So the focus of what Barbara is doing under the Greenhouse Gas Committee, and Nyla, you're welcome to help with this, of course, with your expertise, is to request, the first step, like you said, baby steps. We're going to take the first steps is we're going to try to see what the county has been doing regarding compost messaging. And so once we get just the picture of what the county's doing, we can look at that and say, okay, well, this part is working, but there's not enough focus on the purpose of the composting, for example. I'm just making that up. Although that has been feedback that Barbara has given us for some time, that the purpose of, getting methane out of the landfill and diverting the food waste, that's understanding why we're doing it's really, really important. So Barbara's going to finish sending, she'll send out the document she sent out today, and please, Barbara, send a copy to Nyla.
Right.
And anybody else who's let her know if you're interested, we'll send it to you. We'll just review your document, Barbara, give you the final feedback. That document will go to Maryland with a specific request for to receive those materials. And then that subgroup of the Greenhouse Gas Committee will work on looking at those materials. And anyone, I really encourage you, we're really trying to get people engaged and active, is that group could then work together to look at those materials and analyze them, and then can provide recommendations. And that might be the first step. Another step could be, the issue you brought up, Nyla, could be that the containers themselves in certain places aren't even recognizable. There may be a series of sub issues, but we got to take the first step is really looking at what the county has done, because we can't give them feedback if we don't know what we're giving feedback about. So that's the concept. So that's what we're doing with that. And Barbara, thank you so much for taking this on. I think it's going to be really productive.
Thank you for letting me take this on. This, as you know, has been my valley forever.
Yeah, and I think that it will lead to, it'll dovetail eventually, like you're talking about, Nyla. Some of this stuff will begin to dovetail together. I think the multifamily question of what's happening with the recycling, and actually I sent to several of you a link to the county, which has information about it, and then a link to the legislation. So I'm going to run that out later, but you have those links. I just sent them out. So I appreciate your interest in this sort of synthesizing things together. And I think that some of these separate learning sort of areas that we're working on will come together for more, that we can do more with that, and we can create additional recommendations. So anyway, we're still in Dave's report. So I'm going to go back. We keep getting a little waylaid. Go back to Dave and say, thank you for your patience, and go ahead with the rest of your report.
Okay. I have a question. What I'd like to do is ask Kevin, first of all, does DOE, have they had any contact with, or do they are aware of a group called Industrious Labs, Carbon Mapper, or the Rocky Mountain Institute, all of which are now doing methane emission measurements across the country, including Maryland. Kevin, are you familiar with any of those groups?
I'm not aware of the groups you mentioned, David.
Okay. All right. what's really interesting about these groups, they've been doing flyovers, probably similar to what the University of Maryland was doing with their plane. They may also be doing measurements at land in those mobile units. But they recently, just the last week, they actually sent up a satellite called Tanager-1. It was launched last week. It's going to be looking at landfills around the world. And I think there may be an opportunity also to get them to look at some of the landfills here in the state of Maryland, also in Prince George's County. And I think this will be an enormous asset so we can actually get some maybe additional measurements as to whether we're having methane problems or are we kind of solving our methane emission problems at our landfills, including the open landfills and the closed landfills. So that's something I wanted to bring to your attention, and I'd be happy to get you some more information. So you may want to touch base with them or contact them.
I'd like to be involved in that discussion. That sounds wonderful. You found that, Dave.
Okay, yeah. And that's again, Carbon Mapper, and it's the new satellite, which was sent up, I believe, by NASA. So it's pretty exciting and being a great resource. Topic 4, tomorrow we're going to be having a meeting with Laurel's Michelle Blair, who is working on the first mandatory composting program in the state of Maryland, which we started in the beginning of 2025. They're going to slowly be rolling it out over the course of the year to throughout Laurel, including single family and multifamily units. They'll have these things called I always forget the name.
Big belly.
Big belly.
Big bellies, yeah. They'll have some big bellies at some of the apartment complexes. She's going to be talking to some of the people, some of us and the commission tomorrow. We also have invited the directors, public works directors from Hyattsville and here in my town, University Park, to join that meeting and listen to Michelle and get an understanding of exactly how they're rolling that out. And I talked to her once or twice, and it seems like she is really looking at all aspects and figuring out the best way of making that happen.
Well, and you had also had a nice meeting that you organized, Dave, for some of us with, who was it? The guy in charge of the composting, the guy under Michelle, who was actually in charge of putting it together.
Yeah.
So that was a very useful meeting.
Yeah. And I think what's would really be good is if we see what Laurel is doing, and I guess they're really now way out in the forefront here. There are other programs out in California in particular where I think it's mandatory across the state, but not so here in Maryland. But it'll be really good to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it. Maybe that's something we can be looking at, either at least in the municipalities, but maybe eventually here across the county. And if you go to mandatory, your amount of compost is going to go up considerably. And I think there is still quite a bit of room at the OCF for food waste. I think I've talked to Steve Birchfield a few times, and it sounds like they have room for additional food waste beyond what they're.
Well, they take it from other jurisdictions now.
Yeah.
Much room.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. If anybody wanted to join that meeting tomorrow, it's going to be at 9 o'clock, and could send you a link to that meeting. It'd probably be just about an hour. We're not going to make it too long, but it'll give us all a chance to hear what Laurel's doing.
So Dave, if you want to just at the end of the, after we get off, you could just send the link to everybody in case anybody is interested. So can I just ask you to stop for 1 second? And
sure.
I just want to ask a question of Kevin, because I haven't been able to figure this out. And that is, are there requirements? What does the county do about commercial composting? Since I've been involved in these conversations, and these different activities lately, I've become really aware that a big part of it is, grocery stores, nursing homes, hospitals, universities. Where does all that food waste? Are there regulations for that? And where does it
They-
go? Do you know?
I know that we're communicating with commercial establishments to have their food waste be brought to our facility. It's our recycling section who is doing that. So we're reaching out to commercial sectors um, for the organic waste to be utilized in our compost facility.
So
So yeah,
is there regulations in the state or county that apply to those more commercial industrial players?
Yeah, there's a state law on it.
State has. Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a state law requiring commercial establishments, located within a certain, I think, distance from a compost facility to bring
30
their
miles.
waste. 30 miles, yes.
But they have to generate, I forget, it's a shitload
Like a
of
ton a
food
week, I believe.
waste that it fits, that they can do it. And it has to be that it's not more than 10% more expensive or something like that
Right.
than just throwing it in the trash. And so, like they say that places like Johns Hopkins Hospital has immediately gotten an exemption from it. So the thing is, it's a feel-good law that lets anybody out of it if they want.
Johns Hopkins is a double hospital. They have so much crap going back so long. Like everything from institutional racism, representational racism, to other stuff. It's insidious. I just want to say that. Sorry.
Okay.
Being a Hopkins person, I'm not disagreeing with you, Nyla.
Okay, so this is another, Kevin, is that something you could find for me? I think I've taken care of the multifamily, so we can cross that off the list, but if you could help me find the state law about that, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that was my question. Okay, Dave, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't have it on my top of my fingers, so I bet, again, Kevin can do it way quicker. But I had, back when I'd found it, I sent out actually an analysis of it and why I thought it was just a feel-good thing and made to let everybody out if they wanted to get out.
Barbara,
So
do you think can you find that?
I can search for it.
Okay,
I don't, but I can find it.
Okay, that would be great to look at that again. That would be really helpful. That's just something I think in the whole scheme of things, we need the whole picture, and that's part of it. Okay, thanks. So, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Want to also mention that we're preparing for the next month's meeting to have another speaker come in. His name is Craig Coker, and he was responsible for maybe additional people, but I think he may be the prime preparer of a report that Montgomery County asked that they were looking for some alternatives to they have I guess, an incinerator, which they're trying to close out, and they wanted some other options. And this report looks at composting and also anaerobic digestion as two alternatives. Mr. Coker is happy to come in next month at our meeting and maybe make maybe a 20-minute report and talk about what they've recommended and come up with, and talk a little bit more about anaerobic digestion, which is maybe also an alternative to landfilling. We all like.
But wait a minute, anaerobic digestion is exactly what a landfill is. It gives methane.
What it does, it takes what.
No, that's not correct. Anaerobic digestion is the waste treatment. Is they use in the waste treatment plant, and anaerobic digestion can also be used to convert methane to energy.
Oh, okay. This is a waste to energy thing like the Baltimore facility.
Yes.
Yeah, right now they have it in Piscataway, which is very close to us. We can take a trip and see how they're able to convert methane to energy.
And Barbara, in some cases, for instance, Compost Crew, I've talked to them because they're bringing a lot of compost from different areas. And I found out that they take a lot of their compostables, food waste up to the Jessup facility where they have the big anaerobic digester.
Yeah,
And
that's correct. Absolutely correct.
I asked why they were doing it. And they said basically it's distance. If something's closer, they'll go there. If the OCF is closer, they'll take the food waste there. So for them, it's just a matter of distance. What's easier for them to drop off the product that they're now hauling out of different communities. And like Jonathan says, there's a final product. The one that comes out of anaerobic digestion is primarily methane, which they then will burn for energy. And then they have it's called a distillate, which can be also used and put out in fields. And there's some other uses for that, but it's a little different than a compost, which you can use for.
I have a question though. And my question is, do the county DOE has a climate action plan that include collecting inventory for maintained collections? At this time, do they have organic waste and landfill maintained strategy? Because I'm trying to do some research. I've contacted them, they haven't gotten back with me. So I don't know what they really have. If they have asset management that we can explore, so that we can see if they have inventory for all these things that we do. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Kevin, go ahead.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
I think the county has a climate action plan. I can send a copy to you, and it includes resource recovery, methane, organic waste management.
Okay. Did you get my email?
Yes, and I did, and I have forwarded it to our landfill manager, and we will try to secure the information that you are requesting.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, if this is the old climate action plan from back when, or zero waste plan, sorry. I thought it was that the county agreed to not do the waste to energy.
No, zero waste plan is different from this.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a sort of a sustainability plan, which was recently prepared. It was prepared by our sustainability division, but the inputs came from the different divisions of the department. So it's not an old plan, Barbara.
Okay.
It's a new plan, and I will give a copy to the group.
Great.
For your review. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Okay, Dave, are you still? I still think you have a few more things.
Yeah, a couple more things. The facility up in Jessup is called the Bioenergy DECO, and we were actually, I've been talking to somebody up there about actually doing possibly a tour, but I thought it would be good first to have get the discussion or have some of a presentation by Mr. Coker, and then maybe if some of the commission members want to go up to the facility in Jessup, then it might be an appropriate time to do that after we get a little bit more information about the digestion process. So that might, if people are interested, we could set a tour up sometime, maybe early fall, if people are interested.
Sounds interesting. I'm interested.
Yeah, I'll go.
I want to ask, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I want to ask if there's a way that, Kevin, we can get a tour set up for Brown Station and Area C, which is, I know they're preparing it now, so sometime in the near future, they'll be able to use that area as B gets closed.
Sure.
And my question to you is, in terms of the practices of landfill management and cover, has RDD looked at possibly other means, maybe more state-of-the-art means of landfill cover? What you're going to be doing in C is pretty much what you were doing in A and B. And has there been any changes in terms of the way you're going to be managing and covering Area C over the next couple of decades?
So what the what we're using as landfill cover will remain the same. I'm not aware of any plan to change it. But again, I will check. But what we're applying is based on the regulations of the state. So as far as the matter is concerned, we are compliant, and we are using what MD is requiring us to use as landfill cover. But long-term plan, I have to check with our landfill section in terms of applying new technologies to cover our landfill for daily. I mean, in terms of the daily use cover.
Kevin, one of the things that I came across fairly recently, and this is before we did that tour with some of the people from the University of Maryland, they were looking at some of the different landfills, and we got out to the OCF, and they were also measuring methane out there that day. And that report I'm still waiting to get that report. They've been out in Colorado, so they haven't had really time to do it, but they said when they get back, they will have that report for us. But I guess one of the things that I came across was that there was a landfill on the it's an old landfill that College Park had used facility on the USDA property, and they had done something a little differently there, and they had actually done a report back in 2008 when they had covered it, and they were using a different process, including compost, and then they were also putting a lot of trees and other large materials rather than just like grass. And they said that actually there was a reduction in the amount of methane. So I'm just wondering if is DOE looking really at any other alternatives? Or have they been looking at maybe, like I say, state-of-the-art practices, maybe something that might be better for Area C than what we've been doing at Area A and B?
That I have to check, David.
Okay.
I will reach out to our landfill manager, David, and check as to the plans.
Okay. I think that's all I've got for now.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you
Great
very
report,
much.
Dave. Thanks.
Yep, thanks a lot. Okay, Nyla, anything? Welcome back to stateside here in the US of A. And I know you probably haven't had time, but I don't know if you have anything you want to report on the media committee.
Media, you mean outreach committee.
Yep, outreach
think she's
media.
right.
Yep.
Well, I know that there was supposed to be a meeting, I think, in person with regards to, I think, one of the supermarkets, and how myself and whomever was also part of that, how we would communicate, or at least have conversations with how maybe the waste that is produced either from them or the not the plastic bag, but other types of materials that are probably the most commonly disposed of, how maybe alternatives can be better.
And this was a meeting that happened already or is going to happen, and with which supermarket?
I think it was supposed to happen. I don't know the details, but I know that I was supposed to do outreach, but I was of course in Kuwait. But I know, like, for example, Giant knows what they're doing, because like I shop at Giant, sometimes Aldi, and rarely Whole Foods, even though like if I'm treating myself, I'll go to Whole Foods, or if I can't find something at Giant, I'll go there. Like or Aldi, for example. Aldi now has feta cheese. They didn't have that before. See, the surveys work. They be listening, they be paying attention, because I wanted international foods and the type of stuff. But anyway, Giant is a good when it comes to listening. I know they listen to their folks, because I remember putting in the survey, this was like 5 years ago. That I wanted more diverse, different foods. They literally expanded the latter 10% of the store to be like a whole natural organics aisle. You know, and this is the one in Largo, Maryland, up near near the metro, near Six Flags, if anyone knows that, near I think 202. So like these supermarkets, they do pay attention. So like I just bought some groceries not too long ago from there. So I bought like $130 almost worth. So which was like 20 things, whatever. But anyway, but yeah, so I mean, I say that to say, when working with these grocery stores and supermarkets and things you don't like it's great to talk with them and meet with them in person, especially the managers, but put whatever you don't want or would like to see on the survey, because they're listening. There's somebody tracking that stuff. And I know about survey stuff.
Are you setting up this meeting?
I can take care of it if you'd like. But just let me know which grocery stores are problematic, like which ones don't have a container for their plastic bags when customers return them to the store as they're supposed to, because there's someone somewhere that's gotten a plastic bag from another county and they probably haven't put it in the trash. That's fine. Put it in the bin and they take it to the store. If there's no bin for the collection of it, they're going to put it in the trash, because people are going to go the path of least resistance. Talking about from a public sphere.
Okay,
or
so
if they,
yeah,
or other measures, other points, like if like mom's organics markets are probably, they probably recycle and use paper bags and such. Of course, they charge for them, etc. But like if you see
so now let's I'm sorry, I'm interrupting because it's just the time is pressing. We're at 7, so I'm sorry.
Right.
So I would say if you're going to do something around outreach related to grocery store, you may want to also talk to Dave, because he has had some conversations. And then Barbara's on your committee would be to reach out for you two to talk about strategy, talk about what you're trying to do with that. Okay, and maybe come back next month and let us know what you're up to. That would be great. That sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Great. Okay, so I just want to say one thing about the reuse committee. We haven't been doing a whole lot. Have reached out to some key players, WABA in particular in DC, about the bicycle recycling. And I finally got a good contact, and the person hasn't gotten back with me. So we're in a little bit of a holding pattern on that. So that's it for the moment. For I think the committee reports, I want to move into, and I'm trying to keep this moving because I have said that I really try to keep us close to 7 sometimes we have to go later. So we have until
Yeah.
7:30, but I like to see if we can be kind of expeditious. So the next item is SWAC membership. We've talked about this on and off for the last more than a year, probably much longer than that in some cases. And that is about expanding our composition. We used to be 15. We changed, apparently, I think there was some unclarity about what we were really wanted in terms of the number. And the number was made a set number of 9. But what we really wanted was 9 to 15 members. So we would be able to expand. And it's really clear with the committees becoming more active that we need more folks to be able to help us do the work that we need to do. So I am making a suggestion tonight, and I'm going to put this in a resolution for us to talk about and hopefully agree to, is to go back to the council, and I have had some conversations with the council about this already, to expand our membership and make it a variable number. So the way the language would read would be the commission shall be composed of 9 to 15 members, and all the rest of the language would be the same, which says appointed by the county executive and subject to the confirmation by the county council. That's what that sentence says. And we're just actually taking the 9 that were authorized now and the 15 that we used to be and putting them back together so that we have people that are interested in joining with us, but we don't have enough slots anymore. And what that would mean in terms of a quorum is that however many sitting commissioners were on, presumably that would determine the quorum. Let me just finish. One other thing is the bylaws are really out of date. And so there's a process for amending those. And so next month, I will make a suggestion for some of those amendments. If anybody's interested in working on that and reviewing those bylaws, also let me know about that. We can talk about it. But
Count me in. Count me
Okay.
in, Nancy.
Okay, great. And if anybody's else interested, just email me if you don't want to tell me tonight. But we really need, some of it's just incorrect and it needs to be fixed. And some things I think we can improve upon in our own bylaws. So anyway, so tonight what I'm asking for is I am making a motion that we request the county council to pass a piece of legislation to change our composition. And the language would be the commission shall be composed of 9 to 15 members. That's my resolution that I'm putting forward.
I
I
second that.
second.
Thank you for the second. Okay, now we'll open the floor to
Can
discussion.
the chair make a
Yes,
motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Go. We're done.
yeah. So any discussion on the motion? Is that Nyla? Mr. Cola?
Yeah, I'm okay with it with the change.
Okay, good. Everybody else, what's your any thoughts? Good, Bill?
Fine with it.
Okay. Dave?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Jonathan?
Yes, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Second it.
I think it'll help us. Nyla?
Yeah. I love it. Let's get to 15. The more the merrier.
Okay.
Hmm.
Barbara?
I tried to second it already.
Oh, okay. So basically, so just for the sake, so the motion's on the table. We have a second. All in favor, just say aye.
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 Okay, great. Okay, so that's unanimous. Terrific. I will write a formal request now to the council to ask them to do that. It'll happen sometime in the fall. I'm going to also ask them to make it effective immediately once it's passed. The one that was passed a few years ago, they asked for 45 days. Maybe there's a rule about that. We'll find out. But if possible, I'm going to request that it happen immediately so we can just go forward on recruiting some new additional folks. So, okay, great. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate that. Kevin, you're up. Resource recovery.
May I just interject?
Sure.
Is it possible to find out if the wording could be something to encourage that when there is a candidate, that this candidate has to be acted expeditiously on. Louisa has been hanging around for like a year, not
Yes.
getting approved. I mean, it's just ridiculous how this office is working. If there's any way in the resolution to try to kick Marion Brewer in the buttocks.
Yeah.
Barbara, I will ask, I doubt that we can affect that because it affects about 49 other commissions, potentially. So I will ask Kenny or Eric
Yeah.
about it.
Or if there's just some way to say this should be done as expeditiously as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Like an emergency kind of feel to it.
Well, I will see what response. I will inquire. But you should know, I've also had a considerable amount of back and forth with Kenny Battle about this issue. He has talked to their office. We're going to get an updated roster. That was one of the concerns about the way the terms were being handled. There were a number of issues, and of course, the other issue is the time. I've been promised by the TIE committee that they would help us expedite these appointments. So that's my understanding. I have pursued that, so we'll see what happens. So thanks, Barbara. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Kevin, your report is up.
Okay. Some updates from the division. Methane concentration study at the OCF. As what David has mentioned, we are also waiting for the result for the testing that was conducted last June 7. Residential curbside collection.
Kevin,
The
can you
modified-
hold 1 second? I apologize for interrupting, but I just want to remind everybody that you have a copy of this that was sent to you. I've got to take this. Go ahead and keep going, Kevin.
Okay. So the modified collection service, which starts from 5 a.m., will run through September 30th, in consideration of the summer season. And as we mentioned, we reach out to the residents via the county's emergency preparedness alerts, social media sites, and flyers. Area C infill project construction is ongoing, and target completion date is October 2025. On
Kevin?
the joint, yes.
I'd asked this before, but could you check and see if we can get some kind of a tour out there and also talk to the engineers who are, I think, developing a long-term plan for Area C?
Yes, I think in your previous meeting you made that request, and I have conveyed that to Marlin, and so I'm gonna discuss with our landfill manager on the schedule. I will ask his availability, and then I will provide feedback to you so that we can fix the date for
Thank
the Area C tour. Yep.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Joint emission study with UMD. So we received the edited version of the cooperative agreement, and DO is reviewing it. And hopefully the next step would be to sign the agreement and execution. LFG RFP. So finally the request for proposal was posted by MES last week, and deadline to submit proposals is on September 26th. So it's a 40-day period for interested vendors to prepare, draft, and submit proposals to the county on the beneficial use of the county's landfill gas. I understand there will be site visits to accommodate the request of the vendors to check the landfill and the facilities that are there.
Kevin, could we get a copy of that RFP?
Yes, actually it's available on the MES website, but I can provide the link to the RFP.
Thank you.
On the LFG RFI, so this is the request of the SWAC to have access to the RFI, and we have made representation with the Office of Law, and they just wanted to make sure that um, the vendors allow the documents to be posted publicly or provide to SWAC, because there's a provision in the RFI that some information would remain confidential. And MES has reached out to the vendors, and I think most of them agree to disclosing the information in the RFI. So we will follow up with MES and the Office of Law, and hopefully provide you copies with the RFI that you requested.
Great.
Sorry, Barbara.
Great.
Bicycle reuse program. I think Nancy has provided an update on this. Waiting for a response from WABA. And on the compost outreach, yeah. So we are requesting for the letter to be sent to Marlin, to sort of have to start the discussion on the messaging aspect of our compost program. On the repurposing of old carts in District 2, we are in the process of distributing new recycling carts, and we are targeting to cover about 1745 households in District 2. We're also doing mini events at major supermarkets, along with the distribution of flyers to the residents. So this is an ongoing activity in District 2. For the DOA event, to repeat, we have the Green Summit in October in Hyattsville, and we have a household collection event on Saturday, October 5 at Largo Government Center from 8 to 1. So far, from June 15 until August 17, we have for our June 15 event, we had 535 participants. On July 27, we have 479, and on August 17, we have 431 residents participating in the household collection event. I think these are all my updates.
And I would like to give a great commendation to last weekend's household hazardous waste that was moved to Martin Luther King Middle School. I got there 20 minutes early. I was the first one in line. I was out at 8:02 when it's opened officially at 8. They were just very efficient and very nice. There were about 25 people waiting in line when I left.
Oh, yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin. You did wonderful. So good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nancy? Maybe Nancy stepped away. Kevin, could I ask you another question or two?
Sure.
Yeah. I was talking with Steve Birchfield the other day, and I was trying to get a better sense of the kind of food that's coming into the OCF. And he said he has a report, I think it's a spreadsheet showing who's bringing in what, how much. And he said, I asked, could he share with me? He said, actually, you'd have to get the okay, but that I guess you have that report. And I'm wondering if I could get a copy of that report, or maybe the commission.
Let me ask Marlin, David, and I will get back to you.
Okay.
But we have a monthly report prepared by MES and submitted to the county on the tonnages and the kind of materials that are processed in the OCF.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, I will ask Marlene first, and then I will get back to the group on that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Was that everything?
I have an announcement.
Yes,
I
Nancy.
noticed in the last Greenbelt city newspaper that in their police blotter section, they actually stopped and issued a citation for somebody throwing litter from their car. So it is possible for a police department to provide enforcement action. It's too bad the
Yay.
county as a whole doesn't follow through on it. It might result in a lot less trash, but Greenbelt seems to manage to be able to do it for their area.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's not
Greenbelt's
beneath their
good.
police officers to do it. So,
Good job.
and it
Good,
gets written up in the paper to on top of all that. So there's
The fact
publicity,
that the one
enforcement,
side
which
gets
is
written
good.
up in the paper is ominous, so.
But it's kind of
Yeah.
cool though, because it means that it's shaming. It's like enforcing what laws are already on the books, but also like shame litterers. That's one of my pet peeves. Litterers, people who, you know, abuse children or animals, people who mess with the elderly, people who are racist, stuff like that. But yeah, like littering is a no-no. Like
Guys, I'm gonna have to leave 5 minutes to run another meeting.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
got
yeah,
another meeting too.
Okay, so let me just wrap up here. So Kevin, I just wanted to go back for 1 second. I apologize. I had a call from a doctor's office. So we're waiting to hear on the RFP. And do you have any sense of when we might hear about? You said send it to the Office of Law. When we might hear back from them? How long that might take?
You mean the RFI? Because there are two things. We have the RFP that was already posted last week
because
by
okay, so
MES.
okay, it was posted. Okay, so I can go look.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, all right.
And the RFI, which your group requested that you be furnished with the copies.
Yep.
And so we're working with the Office of Law to,
And do you have any
have
sense
them
of the
provided
time
to.
frame on that?
So I followed up with MES this week, and they said they will communicate with the Attorney General will communicate with the Office of Law on
Okay.
the feedback that they got from the vendors, where most of the vendors say that they're okay with releasing the RFI to the public or to your group.
Okay.
So I'll update your group next week on that.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so any other announcements? No? Then
Real
that's-
good meeting, guys.
Okay, great. Okay, we're good then. Okay, everybody, we will see you either at a committee meeting or in September.
Good. Okay.
Have a good rest of your August. Okay,
Okay.
everybody, thanks so much.
Nancy, I took notes on
Thank you.
this and we'll
Thank
send
you.
it out.
Nice